Good afternoon, guys. I'm Tarek Patel. We're here in the SoCal Prep Legends studio, here with the Long Beach Press Telegram tandem, JJ and Mike. Going to dive into a couple questions, some simple ones, and then into some more detailed ones. And it's pretty obvious where we need to start, and that's Bosco, St. John Bosco. Arguably one of the best teams in the state, but we'll dive into something a little deeper than that. Where do you guys see them in regards to your coverage area in Long Beach? Are they the best team?
Absolutely, they are the best. I mean, the last few years for them, since that national championship in 2012, has just been exactly what you would want from a Trinity League team trying to make a name for themselves. They've played the big teams. They've won the big games. They've been in Angel Stadium for 2 years in a row. They are the team to beat out in our area.
Mike?
I would almost say, I think, they and Corona Centennial are the two teams to beat in all of Southern California. I think Bosco, Corona Centennial, Mater Dei, all three kind of consensus top 10 teams. Some people put Mater Dei over Bosco. Bosco was up 42-0 on Mater Dei last year at a game that I covered. So I still see it as sort of being Corona Centennial, Mater Dei, Corona Centennial and Bosco, maybe on just sort of a collision course for a repeat of last year's championship game. But yeah, Bosco's stacked again. They got, I think, 19 guys who got scholarship offers, very deep at every position, very fast. And just almost like a little college program over there with the talent they've got.
And I think we can all say that if it does end up being Corona Centennial and St. John Bosco at Angel Stadium again this year, no one is going to be disappointed.
Sure.
Those last two games between those two teams, actually I should say those two programs, because that's really what they are, have been just worth the price of admission for sure.
Fair enough. Well, I think when it comes to the coverage area, I'm trying to look for maybe a sleeper team, maybe a hidden storyline that you guys being down there for so long that you feel like, hey man, maybe this is this team's year, or it's that player's coming out party, if you will. What team comes to mind, or maybe a player that comes to mind?
I'm looking at the SGVL, the San Gabriel Valley League. Do not get down on Downey. I know it's strange to say that program can be looked over or a sleeper. They went to the championship and lost on a horrible call 2 years ago, but they had
one
a
of the most controversial videos we've ever put up.
Check that one out, because it is it's tough to watch. I can only imagine the Vikings watching that. But that team, that program took a real hit last year. They lost to their rival Warren for the first time in forever. They weren't able to be at the top of that three-way tie with Paramount and Dominguez, all good programs that have made deep playoff runs in the last few years. I'm looking at Downey, specifically quarterback Trevor Hill, who as a sophomore led them to that championship, then as a junior kind of had what you might call a sophomore slump, got his job taken away, won it back. He's coming back this year. He's got Ivy Leagues looking at him.
Trevor Hill's GPA is my GPA plus your
plus
GPA.
Mine, yeah, and some. And he's looking to be the leader. He's looking to win the respect of his teammates back, but also the respect of the city, and take Downey back to where, honestly, Downey thinks they should have been.
Fair enough. I think obviously Bosco, a lot of talent, but maybe a hometown favorite, Long Beach Poly. So let's talk about them a little bit. Last year had some forfeits, unfortunately. Maybe we can tell the viewers, revisit that a little bit.
Sure.
But I know they lost Jack Jones. Is that something that they've been able to refill? Are they going to really miss him this season? Just kind of talk about Poly a little bit.
Well, so last year Poly they forfeit, I believe it was 4 games, including 3 league games, which meant that they went from a league where they'd won every game with a running clock except for one to not making the playoffs. The first time in 37 years that Poly wasn't in the playoffs.
Wow.
That was the topic of conversation, certainly that we heard around Long Beach. We don't have a team that's got a bigger fan base anywhere near than Poly. I mean, just a huge group of alumni and supporters behind
Rabid alumni.
But so huge for them to not make the playoffs, first time in 37 years, like I said. This year's team is different. 3 years ago they had Juju Smith-Schuster. 2 years ago they had Biggie Marshall. Those guys were both All-Americans last year. Last year they had Jack Jones, who was an All-American in high school. So they don't have that guy this year. They don't have a 5-star guy. But what I think Poly fans will see more of is kind of like a classic Jackrabbit team, like the mid-2000s is what JJ and I have talked about, where they still have 10 guys who are going to play college football on scholarship, at least. 10 guys who already have offers. Very talented, but it's that high mid-level talent as opposed to one superstar name. So I know head coach Antonio Pierce is kind of fired up about that. It's more of a blue-collar group this year, but they're very tight-knit. Which is sort of a dangerous thing with Poly, and the defense is stacked. We got 7 guys on defense who've got scholarship offers. So we're looking forward to them. That should be pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole league is interesting because the butterfly effect of those forfeits gives Wilson their first Moore League title since 1991. Right. And now you're looking at a Wilson team
6-0, if I'm not mistaken, right? In the Moore League,
yeah, of course. Well, the one loss, right?
Well, that's it.
Quote, unquote.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing we said in the preview. We've got 2 defending Moore League champion teams. You got Wilson. They won the championship. They got the forfeit, but then Poly goes, the Poly players players at practice.
Not really.
Didn't we beat that team with a running clock? And so you kind of see this. It's been great for us being at the practices because that's an old rivalry game. Those teams started playing 20 years before the Packers and Bears started playing.
Wow.
So back to 1917, they used to call it the big game. It once upon a time got 40,000 fans to the Rose Bowl for Polly Wilson. It has not had juice like that in a little while.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
this year
a long
suddenly,
while.
we're hearing from all these old timers who graduated 40 or 50 years ago who are like, when's the Polly Wilson game? Can I buy tickets yet? And all this stuff. So we're fired up for that.
Well, for a lot of reasons, the Moore League has kind of been watered down, not including Polly, everybody except Polly, for a lot of reasons. That has kind of left a void for a second-place team to step up after Lakewood was that second-place team in 2009 and is not now. Wilson can be that team, and this is the year they can kind of put their foot down and get a foothold in that position. Obviously, it's going to take a good showing against Poly, but as Coach Ziegenhagen has said multiple times this summer, it's about the Lakewood game, and the Cabrillo game, and the Milliken game, and the Compton game. Those are the games that Wilson has to win year in and year out to put themselves in position to be that second-place team, and as Coach Ziegenhagen said, not be a one-hit wonder.
Great. Well, hey, guys, we're not going to quite wrap it up. Just one more thing here. Once again, Tarek Fattel, JJ and Mike from the Press Telegram. I guess just to wrap it up, I'm not going to call you guys prognosticators, and I'm not going to put the onus on you to predict anything, but just give me something you are looking forward to. What do you think is going to be the outlook for this season? There always seems to be a theme that rises up, whether you see it or not. And hindsight's always 20/20, but we're here before it. A lot of reporters can make great money before a season, and some of them aren't so good after a season. But I won't make you guys make any too bold predictions, but just maybe some final notes as we enter the prep season here in literally the next 10 days or so.
Well, I would say, and maybe this is somewhat bold, but I think Bosco will be back on top like that 2013 CIF state and national championship season. I think the offense they have, everyone's talked about who they're replacing at quarterback with Josh Rosen and Quentin Davis not being there, but I actually think Real Mitchell, not really on a lot of people's radar yet. He's only a junior, but he's the fastest junior in the country, and they've got him in an offense that actually I think he would probably be better in the offense in terms of everything that it opens up into than maybe even Rosen was, because Josh did not want to go out and run 25 times in a high school game, obviously. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I think that this is going to be a really big year for them. And I think even though they are a national top 10 team, I'd still say I think they're going to surprise some people.
In the same vein, I'd say it's going to be offense and offensive schemes. You've seen a huge swing from run-first offenses in high school when I was playing to now everybody's in the spread. Everybody wants to throw the ball 30, 40 times. Sure. I think we're going to see a swing back this year a little bit. You look at a Bosco.
We are,
you look
for sure.
at you look at a Poly. Long Beach Poly wants to get back to their bread and butter, and that's running the ball. And there's a lot of big kids back in the local area in Long Beach. We have not had the beef up front in the recent years because they were going to other schools. Now they are kind of back in Long Beach a little bit. And when you have the offensive and defensive lines, you can play that trenches game. And I think we're going to see more of that this year. And I think more teams are going to be successful in the playoffs doing that.
You heard it. Mike, JJ, make sure to follow them on Twitter. Once again, Tarek Patel, SoCal Prep Legends, and we'll wrap it up. Enjoy the prep season. Thanks.